Hello students, once again I welcome you all in my new video for class 8, and today we are going to start another chapter in our syllabus. The chapter is about metals and non-metals. So as you know, in my previous video we have concluded the second chapter, microorganisms and viruses, with the topic nitrogen cycle. I hope you all have done the assignments of the previous video, and I'll upload the answers of that particular assignment at the end of today's video, so that will be beneficial for you to complete the assignment. So let's start today's discussion about metals and non-metals. But before we see what are metals and what are non-metals, let's talk about some basic knowledge from your previous classes, that what is matter. As you all may be knowing this, that anything that has mass and occupies space is called matter. So whatever thing, whether living or non-living, you are going to see in your surrounding, they all are made up of matter, or they all are matter. Why? Because all of the things, living or non-living, they all possess some kind of mass in them, and they are going to cover some space if they are going to place. So all the things that we are observing in our surrounding, they all are matter, and these matter are going to made from some small particles known as molecules. So molecules are the smallest unit of matter which exists freely. But this is not the end. As you know also, that molecules are also made up of some smallest particles known as what? Atoms. So atoms are the smallest unit of matter, but the problem is this: atom can never exist freely. They have to combine together to form molecules, and these molecules can exist freely, and many of the molecules are going to combine together to form matter. So we will see, perhaps few of you are having a knowledge about the structure of an atom, that what is present inside the atom. So when we are going to see the atom, again three subparticles known as electron, proton and neutron are present inside an atom. And when we see, the central region of any atom is known as nucleus. So this central region is known as nucleus, and in this central region, nucleus, proton and neutron will be filled, and electron will roam outside this nucleus in an orbit. As you have seen the solar system, that the center of the solar system is sun, that is placed at the center, and all the planets are going to roam around the sun in their fixed orbit. In the same way, electrons are present outside the nucleus, but their orbits are fixed, and they are going to present in their orbits only. So electrons are negatively charged particles and protons are positively charged particles. So negative charge outside and positive charge inside, but the neutrons are charge-less particles. There is no charge on the neutrons. So we will see now what do we mean by element. So actually you are observing here three forms of matter, whether solid, liquid or gas, and I have selected few examples also, like iron for solid state, water for liquid state, and oxygen for gaseous state. So you know these alphabets are going to represent these matters, like Fe means ferrous, representing iron. Water, chemical formula H2O, represents the water, and this oxygen is represented by O2. These representation are what? The molecules, because molecules are what? The combination of atoms, because atoms cannot exist freely. So 2Fe means two atoms of iron. Here you can see H2O. H2O means in one molecule of water, one molecule of water will contain one atom of oxygen and two atoms of hydrogen. In the same way, one molecule of oxygen will contain two atoms of oxygen, because atoms cannot exist freely, so they have to combine together to form molecules. So here you can observe that this matter is having two atoms of iron, the same kind of atom. Here you can see water is what? A compound. Compound means matter, substance that is made up of more than one kind of atom, and here you can see one atom is of oxygen and the another two atoms are of hydrogen. And here again you are observing the oxygen gas is what? An element. So we are going to see what do we mean by element. Actually, a group of atoms or species of atoms having same number of protons. Remember this, same number of protons in their nucleus is considered as element. And till today our scientists have discovered different types of 118 elements in our surrounding, and a scientist, Lavoisier, classified all the elements that are discovered till today in three categories: metals, non-metals and metalloids. So you know it's quite difficult to know about the variety of substances without classifying them. So the scientists classified on the basis of some characteristics, features of all the elements, and these categories are metals, non-metals and metalloids. So first we will see what are metals and what are the characteristics, features to classify all these elements in the group of metals. So the first heading is here, physical properties of metals. So all the elements which are having solid state at room temperature, remember solid state at room temperature, that all are placed in metals group. So whatever elements are having solid state at room temperature, they are classified, they are grouped in this group that is known as metals. But there is an exception of metal that is known as mercury. You know this mercury that is filled inside the thermometers to know the temperature of human's body or any other substance or any other liquid in our surrounding, which is used to measure the temperature. So mercury is the exception in the metals which is present in the liquid form at room temperature, but all others metal like you have seen copper, iron, gold or silver or platinum, these all are what? Solid state, and these all belongs to a category that is known as metals. The second physical property of metal is what? Metals are hard. Hardness is the property of again metals. So the property is known as hardness, and hard is what? If the substances are not easy to be pressed or to cut them, so these substances are known as what? Hard substances, and all the metals are hard except, again here is an exception, sodium and potassium. Actually sodium and potassium belongs to this group metals, but when we are going to see their nature, they are present in the solid state at the room temperature, but they are not hard, they are soft and they can easily cut by knife. So now we are going to see the another physical property. Lustrous property means all the metals are lustrous, they show a metallic luster in them. Lustrous means what? Having a specific sign. So you have seen the gold, platinum and even iron. So if you are going to see the iron in your surrounding, it may possible that the iron is rusted, and that's why it is not appearing shiny. But if you will see the newly iron, if we are going to cut it into two pieces, then you can see the iron will be again shiny substance. So all the metals are showing metallic luster, and this property is known as what? Lustrous. Next property is what? Tensile. All the metals are very strong. As you have seen that metals are used in making grills in the windows, or bridges are made, or buildings are made by these metals, iron or steel or all these things. So you know their tensile, their strength is very high because these are connected by their metallic bond, because all the atoms and the molecules of elements metal, they are connected together with a bond that is known as metallic bond. So they are having tensile strength in them. Next feature is what? Malleability. Actually, malleability is a property in which a substance can be changed into thin sheets by hammering it. So all the metals are malleable, as you have seen that iron or even silver, you have seen silver foil. So silver foil is what? Actually a thin sheet of a metal that is known as silver, and you have seen how thin these sheets can be made by hammering it, and they are not going to easily break because they are having tensile property. They are going to become flat and be converted into thin sheets. So this property is known as malleability, in which metals can be converted into thin sheets by hammering them. Next property is ductility. Perhaps you have seen the electric wires at your homes, that they all are what? Having metal inside them. Why? Because metals are ductile, means they can be drawn into thin wires. If we are going to stretch the metals, so they are going to become into thin wire-like structure, and this property of metals are known as ductility. So next one is what? Conductivity. As you have read from your previous classes, you are having a knowledge that all the metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, because when we are considering about atoms, they are having free electrons at their surface which are going to conduct the electricity, and they are also a good conductor of heat. Now we are going to see the another property, physical property of metals, that the density of metals are very high. Again here you can see the exceptions are what? Sodium and potassium. But apart from these metals, the rest of the metals are what? Very dense, because they are compactly packed together, just because of again their metallic bond in which atoms are closely packed. So you are having a knowledge about all the metals in your surrounding, as we have discussed already, like magnesium, aluminium or copper or iron. They all are having what? High density. And the last property, physical property of metal is what? Sonority. Actually, you have seen the bells in your cycle or bells in the offices, they all are made up of what? Metals. Why? Because they all are sonorous. So what do we mean by sonority or sonorous? These substances are going to produce ringing sound whenever they are going to struck hardly. So whenever we are going to struck any metal piece or any metallic substance, they are going to produce ringing quality and ringing sound, and this quality, this property of metals are known as what? Sonorous property or sonority. So whatever elements are going to represent these property, they all are placed in a group that is known as metals. So we can say now that metals are solid at room temperature, they all are hard, lustrous, tensile strength, malleable, they all are ductile, they all are good conductors of heat and electricity, they are having high density, and they all are sonorous. Exceptions are here in few of the points which are telling us that few of the metals can avoid these properties, few of them, but when we are going to place them, as Lavoisier placed them in different three groups, metal and non-metals and metalloids, so he was observing some common features. So on the basis of their physical properties, metals are having these properties, but non-metals and metalloids will not show such type of property. So for today, that was all. In the next video, we will see what are the chemical properties of metals, and we will discuss that how the metals are going to react with other substances in their surrounding on the basis of their chemical nature. So till then, we will meet in the next video. Take care of yourself and be safe.